All right. Good morning, Godspeed and blessed be. It is currently April the 9th, 2023. Y'all see my fan? Ain't she cute? Mm-hmm. It's giving me very much Asian persuasion. It's giving me very much geisha girl. Memoirs of a Geisha. I remember I watched that movie as a kid. That was a very influential movie because it was like very cross cultural at the time, and they was mixing and dabbling, and it really kind of gave insight into that whole movement of what a geisha is. A geisha in terms of like is a very desirable woman, right? What we consider in the States to be escort. Someone who is sought out for their desirability, their attractiveness, their beauty, and they are put on display for those reasons. They are over exaggerated for whatever purpose that they may be. So usually escorts are women that men or women, whoever, business execs, music producers, actors and actresses, people who are in the entertainment industry use escorts for look purposes, like aesthetic reasons. So, Memoirs of a Geisha highlighted the way that the Asian culture utilized these women. And then also kind of a little story into how these women get into that type of work, how they're deemed from the societal's viewpoint, and then also how necessary they are to society. Because we often fail to realize that prostitution was the first real like this is, and this, I'm not promoting this, but this is an actual fact. You can go look this up for yourself. Prostitution was the first string of employment for women, for anyone, honestly, but we love to just, put that based off of on women. It was the first job that women could have and that they could do well because it didn't require them to do anything outside of them. It actually let them utilize the resources that they already had. I don't know why I'm going on this whole tangent about geishas and escorts and prostitution. Maybe that's something in that. So maybe somebody do prostitution. Maybe somebody is an escort. Maybe somebody is a geisha. I don't fucking know. That ain't my business. But that's the message for today. All right. So today we have the strength card as the card of the day. And when I pulled this card, the first thing that came to mind was strongly worded letter or contract. And then I got into thinking about contracts and letters. An addendum was the word that came to me. Addendum is a additive or a portion of something that is already pre-existing to a contract, a letter, a standing entity. It's just the adding on to that's already incorporated. And I also got residential lease, right? So somebody could be seeking housing or seeking to get into a particular space, like a home, an apartment complex, a condominium, a townhome, whatever. And the contract that's being drafted for them has an addendum attached to it. Usually addendums are attached to these types of things if you are what they consider a special case, right? So you are outside of all the requirements that they put forth to you for you to be able to even have that house, that townhome, that condominium, whatever. There is other legalities that have to be input into that contract. So that way, if anything comes up or anything goes awry, it's already set in stone. We fail to realize how solidified these contracts and letters are that we end up signing our names on. Okay, so let's talk about contractual agreements, because that's the real thing. The contractual agreements that we give permission over onto control us. They rule what we do and how we do things. So, for instance, if you get into a contractual agreement with your apartment complex, 6-month contract, 12 months, which is usually around the time frame that most people want, because if you do, the longer that you sign a contract for, the more that they make it seem as if it's a benefit to you, because they might take away I don't know, a move-in fee, or they might waive the admin fee or whatever. for you being able to sign over yourself and your entity for that period of time. I have not had an addendum added to anything of my own accord, right? Thankfully, I'm grateful. Usually my contracts that are presented to me are very straightforward and direct. They don't have no inner loop that I gotta go around and I gotta figure out. They don't have anything that's entailed in it that I have to seek legal help for. Mainly because thankfully, I'm an autodidact and I go and search knowledge for myself. So I don't really need people to come along and help me with that. I already got that for myself. Like, I'm very wise enough to realize, like, if I need to know something, I'll go search it for myself. Now, if it's outside of me, I will enact help. But for the most part, I don't need that. Someone needs an addendum. You're not aware that you need an addendum first and foremost, or that it's already been added because you don't read, which is a real problem. Okay. It's a real problem to just go based off of the word of mouth of someone else and not actually read the contracts that they put in front of you. Because what they can do when that happens is say, okay, well, it's already in writing. And in the legal system, it don't matter about no he say, she say, or what somebody told you that they was going to do for you or what y'all locked it in with. It matters about that black and white. What did the contract say? If your contract had an addendum added to it, you weren't aware that your contract had an addendum added to it. You signed it, and let's say the addendum says that if you violate such and such, then you could be dismissed without, they call it at will, like when it comes to employment, but it's kind of a similar way when it's residential living as well. At will, we can choose to null and void this contract with you because you've overstepped what we put in black and white for you not to do. So it's almost like a form of control. It's not almost, it definitely is a form of control that most of these organizations and entities who are within the housing industry put into these contracts, these residential leases. And it wasn't always this way. If you go search, probably I'll say about a good 20 years ago, right? You'll see that when the real estate industry started to boom and people started to want to crave this more luxury living is what they call it, where they're no longer seeking single family homes or multi-dimensional family homes. I want a high rise, I want a condominium in the sky. I want something that is outside of what was already the norm, which was a single family home. They started to put these things into play to not just protect themselves, but also to siphon more money out of whoever the person was that was coming to seek it. Okay, you say that you want luxury. This is what you pay for luxury. And this is also what you have to conform to receive that luxury. Then as the real estate market starts to boom because of that, because naturally we are subject to the laws and the principalities of the universe, the 12 universal laws, the law of liking, the law of reciprocity, the law of giving and receiving, those types of things. The law of reciprocity says that what one person does, another will eventually fall into play to do because they see that it works for that individual, right? So whatever you give out, you get back in return. And usually people see that you are being able to benefit from it. I want to benefit from it too. So one person decided, I want a condominium. Other people started to see how they living. I want a condominium too. I want a high rise too. Whatever that is. The real estate industry is very much on trend with these things. So they keep up. They have literal people who sit still all day and just watch the trends, just like they do with the stock market. The same way, because it all plays within one another. They have individuals that go, okay, well, at this year, this is how many people bought these types of properties versus at this year, this is how many people didn't. And then they'll go based off of that. And that's how more times than not, you'll see like these these structures popping up everywhere because they are following the trends that are already in place. Okay, so let's move on from that because I'm starting to feel like I'm going on a tangent. I'm rambling at this point. The point is, if you are within a residential lease with anyone, you're in a contractual agreement, and they have put forth an addendum to you that you weren't aware of, my first recommendation is for you to seek legal help. Seek legal help within your culture. What I mean by that is, if you're an Asian individual, you need an Asian lawyer. You're a Black individual, you need a Black lawyer. It's just, you're Spanish, you need a Spanish lawyer. That's no tea, no shade to nobody. But ultimately, if you can, I always tell people this, be very cognizant of this. If you really want the best type of help where you're guaranteed to win, get you a Jewish lawyer. Why? Jewish individuals rule the legal field. They rule it. Like, if you will go into all of these practices and there'll be such and such and such and such, I can guarantee you that one half of that such and such is Jewish. The ones that have a high success rate are usually Jewish. And we love to disregard the Jewish community because of that whole bias and discriminatory aspect that minorities are used to dealing with, right? Other people don't know shit about, because if you don't know, you don't know. If you ain't no minority, you really don't know discrimination or prejudice up front and close and personal as we do. But Jewish individuals are usually kind of pushed to the side and relegated for only certain uses. Legalities are one of those uses. They rule that industry. Get you a Jewish lawyer, sit with them, have a consultation. Usually consultations are free, so you don't have to pay anything. See what they have, what advice that they have to give to you, but go in there with a listening ear and an open heart. Oftentimes, when we are already soured to a certain way of being, we already go into it expecting something to happen. And if we do that, we're setting it up for it to happen. That's one of the aspects of manifestation. If you already visualize it to happen, it's already happened. That's just period. It ain't nothing that you can do about it, because you put so much focus and intent and energy into it, it becomes actualized. So get you a Jewish lawyer, get you a consultation, sit down with that person and actually go through it. If you have the actual contract itself, go through the contract that you were provided, anything that you were given that was black and white, because they're not going to go based off of what you were told. They can't do anything with that. People say shit all the time and don't really be meaning it, so I need to be able to see where it was said that this is what would happen if this happens. I feel like somebody is stuck between a rock and a hard place, and they're realizing that now in their life because of whatever they signed themselves over onto, and that they now are ultimately a slave to. Which we are never really slaves to anything unless we give our permission over to be so. It's about permission. So I encourage whoever this individual is, or whoever these individuals are, to read the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, where it says that what are you giving your permission to? What are you allowing? What are you allowing in your life? What you allowing? What you allow? What do you allow? What do you allow? I keep asking that question because if I constantly give that over, maybe you'll start to think in your mind, what am I allowing? What do I give permission to? Maybe you'll change your ways. And if this is not about a residential lease or a contract, this could be just the contracts that you've given to God himself, or whatever entity that you serve, because maybe you don't serve God. That ain't my business. I'm just a messenger. Don't shoot me. Everybody got who they bow down to. And if it ain't God, then that's your business. But what contract did you enter into with that entity? And what did you say that you were going to provide, and then you reneged on? Because you're going to have to pay it in full. I hope you know that. That's the gag about karmatic debt. People often believe that just because nobody saw it and nobody else was witness to it, that it never happened. It happened. You said that that's what you was going to do. You know what I mean? And when I say they, I mean the powers that be. The powers that be heard you. You said, if you give me this, then this is what I will provide to you. And now that they've given you what you wanted or what you felt like you needed at the time, you feel like, okay, well, I don't have to give you what I don't have to keep up on my end of the bargain. Yes, the fuck you do. What you talking? Especially if you playing for the other team that's not God. Oh, they gonna come and they gonna keep it's going to be hell for you. Because you have to realize they didn't seek you out. They didn't come and ask you for shit. You came and asked them. And you told them that if you give, this is what I will give. If you meet me where I am and you provide, this is what I can provide for you. And then you think that you're not gonna be held up to what the fuck you told them people you was gonna do? You're smoking big dick if you think that. And you're smoking big dick if you think you ain't gonna pay it. Cause they are going to rag tag your ass. Most people don't be realizing why they can't go to sleep at night for real. Why you suffer with insomnia and depression and suicidal thoughts. It's because them entities and organizations that you gave that contract to, they had an addendum. I'm just the messenger though. Don't shoot me. I ain't signed no contracts with nobody. I ain't said that I was going to give shit over, because you want to know why? I only serve one God. And I don't flip-flop on that, on whatever day is conducive to whatever I need at the time. If God say it ain't meant and sent for me, then it ain't meant and sent, and I leave it where it is. I don't go to the adversary and say, okay, well, if God ain't gonna give it to him, I'm going on the other side and see what they got to say. Because now you're straddling the fence. And when you do that, neither sides can respect you, because they understand that you have no loyalty. Loyalty is a big thing when it comes to metaphysical aspects in spirituality. It is it's one of the basic foundations. I'm almost 18 minutes in. I didn't even know I was just talking about shit, y'all. I just really can't get a call today, but really, I guess somebody needs to hear that message. Understand what you give permission to and what addendums are attached to your contracts. Because when it's time to pay it, you're going to have to pay that shit in full. They don't take no partial payments. They don't take no IOUs. They don't take layaway, pay a little bit here, I'm going to come back later. No, ma'am. Ham or turkey. They want everything in full. And if you ain't providing it, they're going to get it from elsewhere. Your family, your friends, your loved ones. Because you didn't have to come and tell and lie to them folks. The gag about the adversary of God is he is the master manipulator. He's the master liar. He is the master trickster. You can't out-trick him. He already knew what you was going to do before you did it. He still let you play your cards, though. You thought that you was so slick. You thought that you had got away. Oh, baby, no. You're going to have to pay that in full. So I say all of this to say Godspeed over anyone that's going through this, because you're going to have to hold your head. But even with you holding your head, it ain't going to make no matter better, because you've already signed, you've already given permission. You've already signed it over. Ain't nothing that you can do from here but to give them people what they need. And when I say them people, you know who I'm talking about. I hope these messages reach out with peace, love, and light. This is Sunbeam Queen, the Conjuress, the Prophetess, the motherfucking me litany.